It's my favorite day of the year, my favorite day of the week, my favorite day of the month. It's when the Europa League and the Conference League, they happen at the same time. The problem is so much happened that I actually want to talk about. I am going to be separating the Europa League in the Conference League one. This is the Europa League one. Hope that was obvious. And the other one's going to be the Conference League one that comes out kind of later today. Hopefully you enjoy both of them. I don't know. Your mild update about what happened. Mild, medium rare? What? I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. And yes, we're going to talk about Manchester United and Tottenham in detail. Oh, yeah. It started with Athletic Bilbao and Roma. This is going to be one of the most interesting matches of the entire day. It was a great draw for the Europa League round of 16. You get two teams that definitely have a chance to win the whole thing. The final is in Bilbao. This match was in Bilbao, right? The intensity, the energy that stadium brings. Obviously, Athletic Bilbao is at a particular high point for their club. They're coming off that, I think it was a Copa del Rey win, right? Like they're cresting the hill right now in terms of what Athletic Bilbao can be. But they're down 2-1 going into this leg. And then 11 minutes in, Mats Hummels commits one of the worst bad pass, bad tackle combinations you will ever see. Midfield, passes it to the side, just to the wrong guy on the wrong team. Bad pass, bad tackle. Does that 11 minutes into the game. Just horrible. Straight red card. In my opinion, impossible to argue the fact that it was a straight red card. Just a diabolical mistake. And now what that sets up is a match that is essentially going to be Roma trying to hang on for the 90 minutes with the 1-goal advantage on aggregate, and Athletic Bilbao trying to break through. And Athletic Bilbao ran this game. Now, like I said, both these teams have a chance to win the Europa League. I think Athletic Bilbao is one of the favorites. They're a top 5 team in the Liga. They've been playing like one all year. And I mean, shoot, they know that the final's in their stadium. It would be a ridiculous scene if they actually got to play a cup final in their stadium. I feel like that adds a little bit more juice to it. But seriously, Athletic Bilbao, I think, is a better team to begin with than Roma, and they were bossing them all over the field this entire match. The goal finally happened when Nico Williams, he swept in at the back post to clean up a ball that had made it across, and that tied it at 2. But it would take all the way to the 68th minute for Athletic Bilbao to actually find the goal to go in the lead. It was off a corner, and then a third goal coming from Nico Williams in the 82nd minute made it 3-0 on the day to Athletic Bilbao. Nico Williams was rampant. This goal was saucy. This was a weaving, bobbing run with a flicked finish. It was a beautiful goal. It's the type of goal that gets you bought for $100 million, right? I feel like those transfers with FFP are kind of becoming a thing of the past, unless you're Chelsea, right? But Nico Williams was looking like that type of player in this game, right? The reason that Lamine Yamal wants Nico Williams to be the winger on the other side of him and was trying to make that happen after the Euros is because these two guys on the wing for Spain are going to be a terror for at least the next decade. Nico Williams led from the front and dominated for Athletic Bilbao in this match. Roma did get one or two chances. They got a penalty in the 93rd minute, which was a penalty. But even after they scored it, there was really nothing left in this match. Roma needed another goal after that to try and spice things up. But this was all Bilbao on the day. And Roma, honestly, nothing smashes your entire match plan like losing your anchor center back in the 11th minute to a straight red card. There's just no way to respond to that. Eintracht Frankfurt, they had a 2-1 lead coming home after the first leg in the Netherlands, and they absolutely dominated, right? This is the type of match that you could let Ajax hang around, and it's going to get spicy later. They scored 2 goals in the first 25 minutes. Götze would end up with a brace. He scored the 4th goal as well, and Eintracht Frankfurt just barnstormed Ajax. There are levels. Eintracht Frankfurt has definitely established itself as a team on the level of like an Athletic Bilbao or a Sevilla of the days of yesteryear, where they are a very competent, confident team that expects to be in European knockouts every year, and they're going to show up in those European knockouts, and they're going to play well. They're going to play with conviction, and Ajax got farther than you probably would have expected given the chaos that's been there in past years, but they just kind of fell to the wayside. There was nothing really in this game for them. They got pretty cohesively dominated in the XG department. And if you're going to pull off a comeback on the road, you just need to be able to create more chances than they ended up being able to create. It was the most boring match maybe of the entire day, but the same could not be said for Lazio against Viktoria Plzen. Now, I picked Viktoria Plzen to win this match. right? I am a believer in the weird voodoo magic that Viktoria Plzen has. Okay, Viktoria Plzen is legit in European knockouts, right? They made it all the way to the quarterfinals in the Conference League last year. The problem for them, right? The problem is that Lazio is better, obviously. But Lazio is also way better. They were the best team in the Europa League stage. They are, actually in with a chance to win this entire thing. At least I would have believed that before this match. But then all of a sudden, even though Lazio managed to win in the Czech Republic, which if you remember was that incredibly weird, wet and wild 9-man goal. They had 2 players that had been sent off in the Czech Republic and scored in the 98th minute to win 2-1. Well, Viktoria Plzen scored in the second half here. A very well-worked goal, center forward layoff, curler into the top corner. Really beautiful strike by Solch, who, by the way, had got kicked in the head earlier in the game and was wearing this giant head bandage, and he was still slotting home goals. It took until the 77th minute for Lazio to find its first goal at home, and that sends Lazio through 3-2 on aggregate over Viktoria Plzen. So the difference maker was really that goal that Lazio scored 2 players down in the Czech Republic. That made all the difference. And I feel like a team like Viktoria Plzen is a litmus test. It is a bar that you run into as a team. If you can clear that bar easily, then you are definitely a team that's in contention for the Europa League crown. If you can't clear that bar easily, I have a lot of respect for Viktoria Plzen. I don't think Lazio is in the conversation for the biggest favorites to win this competition anymore, but they are, unlike Viktoria Plzen, still in it, which is kind of all that matters. Then there was Bodø Glimt against Olympiacos. Olympiacos got stung by the polar Arctic Circle B and lost 3-0 at Bodø Glimt, who's trying to become the first Norwegian team ever to make it to the quarterfinals of the Europa League or the Champions League. That has never happened out of the Norwegian League ever. They go on the road with a 3-0 advantage, and Olympiacos starts hot. It is not easy to play on the road in Greece, particularly against one of the big Greek teams. They're going to bring the atmosphere, the chance, they're going to bring the vibe. And Olympiacos was all over him early. Bodø Glimt scored on their first shot, though. A beautiful counterattack. The finish from Hogue was amazing. I mean, one of those, you kind of take it in from shoulder height, coming to the side, and he just directs it, kind of steers it right into the bottom corner. It's a beautiful goal. And you're thinking Bodø Glimt's up 4-0. Oh, this must be over. But then they bring in Roman Yaremchuk at halftime, and Yaremchuk promptly scores in the 53rd minute on a horrendous mistake from Bodø Glimt, one of their defenders just kind of falling down, trying to change direction. And then Olympiacos gets a penalty, which Rodinei misses, but two minutes later, and this was totally unrelated to the penalty, Yaremchuk takes a quick touch to turn and shoots far post and scores. And so there's this wave of pressure from Olympiacos, but as the match went on, that pressure kind of wore out. Now, Olympiacos was definitely the better team in this game. Factor in a missed penalty, obviously, in that XG. But Olympiacos was definitely playing well enough to overturn a 3-goal deficit at home. But give Bodø Glimt a lot of credit. One, their goalkeeper, who's this Russian guy I'd never really heard of, called Nikita Hykin. He played a really good game, and Bodø Glimt is an incredibly dangerous team. They obviously did not play their best game in this one. Maybe it was nerves, maybe it was whatever. But they did manage to get out of Greece, advancing to the quarterfinal. And let's not sleep on Olympiacos. Remember, this is a team that has recently won a European trophy in the Conference League. Okay, Olympiacos is clearly around a high water mark, and they would have been believing they were a dark horse to win this entire thing. And now Bodø Glimt is entering into that dark horse category, but they cannot play too many more matches like that. Lyon came into this match against FCSB. They're at home. They're up 3-1 on aggregate. They blew them away, 4-0. Shout out to the Romanian side for being able to make it interesting for as long as they did. Right, to get to the round of 16 of the Europa League is a huge win for them, but they were completely outclassed by Lyon, whose manager is only managing continental matches and can't manage domestic matches. So that's just a fun thing to look out for, because he is currently suspended by the French FA for getting in the ref's face for 9 months. Yeah, you probably might have maybe seen the last Zealandism on that particular topic. All right, Manchester United against Sociedad. This is a very hard draw. Real Sociedad's a very good team. It's a hard draw for both of them. If I was a fan of either of these teams, I'd be kind of pissed I had to play the other team that was there. As much as Manchester United is it's Manchester United, they're still arguably the most talented team in the Europa League in terms of the players that are out there, right? You'd be hard-pressed to find a player better than Bruno Fernandes involved in this particular competition. They're also playing for European involvement next year, right? Manchester United could try and get into the Champions League next year if it wins this tournament, and based off the way the league is going, they have no other way to get there. You know, this is it. And Real Sociedad is not easy, right? And I was impressed that Manchester United got a draw at Sociedad because the way United had been playing, I just figured that wasn't in the cards. And then we ended up with whatever the hell this game was, which was 3 penalties to kind of get us warmed up here. It was a soft penalty, as you could see De Ligt mouthing towards the referee as it happened to Oyarzabal, the classic Real Sociedad player, like the one guy that's always there. Bruno Fernandes, they basically got the same penalty going the other direction. He lines up and scores it, so it's 1-1, 2-2 on aggregate to the second half. Then another penalty. This penalty was softer. It is very difficult to figure out whether Patrick Dorgu is moving into the defender or whether the defender is moving through him, because the defender was trying to stop, but the referee gives the penalty. Bruno Fernandes scores the penalty, and all of a sudden it's 2-1. And then there's a red card against the Real Sociedad. It was a red card. It was very similar to the Mats Hummels play. It wasn't quite as obvious, but it was definitely, I'm going to go ahead and say, a red card. It was a tackle, last man, pretty far away from the goal, but last man sort of tackle, and that essentially sealed it. A little disappointed in Real Sociedad's performance, honestly. They melted away at the end, so United was able to score 2 more goals and kind of bury it. Bruno Fernandes finished off a hat trick. I expected more from Real Sociedad than what we actually got in that match. And if you're a Manchester United fan, shoot, enjoy it. Something good is happening. You beat one of the better teams in the Europa League in a home and away tie. You're going to the quarterfinal. The dream is still alive. Speaking of dreams, I also picked Fenerbahçe. I don't know, maybe I have some unfounded belief in Jose Mourinho. I've watched too many Jose Mourinho comps of old, and I just think that he's going to be able to flip a switch and turn it on again. But they were down 3-1, going to Ibrox, taking on Rangers, and they did it. They actually forced a penalty shootout, and then it just didn't matter. Rangers won the penalty shootout. I felt so bad for Fenerbahçe. Shout out to Sebastian Szymanski, former FM wonder kid who scored. His first goal in particular was beautiful. It was like a hip height volley that he managed to lift over the goalkeeper. It was a fabulous finish by Sebastian Szymanski. Rangers definitely played pretty well in this match. This was not like an embarrassing performance from Rangers. They tested the goalkeeper a lot. I came away from this match very, very impressed. In Egrabayat, Irfan Egrabayat, the goalkeeper for Fenerbahçe, obviously we all knew that and totally didn't need to look it up. But he played a really good game here. This wasn't one of those matches where Rangers kind of folded into their shell. I mean, they had freaking 23 shots. The guy made 9 saves in this match. The XG tells the story that some of those shots perhaps were a little ill-advised. They had shoots from distance ticked on the old Football Manager instructions list. But the penalty shootout was just messed up from the off. Dusan Tadic missed the opening penalty. And then eventually they got a save, but literally missed the next penalty, which is kind of exactly the same as a penalty shootout that happened in the other competition. And that penalty was missed by Fred, by the way, on this episode of Remember That Player? Yeah, Fred missed his penalty for Fenerbahçe, and that's it. Turkish teams are done. Rangers has knocked out the last Turkish representative in any European competition, and now they just get to focus on that unbelievable league race between Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray. Because Rangers continuing to rep Scotland. Celtic put out a good performance against Bayern Munich, and now freaking Rangers is headed to the quarterfinal. And look, if you can win, I said it last time, if you can win by multiple goals on the road in Turkey, you can win the Europa League. Then one of the most interesting matches of the Europa League round of 16. Tottenham lost 1-0 without basically getting any pressure on the goal at all in the Netherlands against AZ. So how are they going to handle it coming home? Ange makes 6 changes to the lineup. All right, he racks up a bit of a different team. And honestly, when you look at the starting lineup and the guys that went out on the field, this is a pretty healthy-looking starting lineup for Tottenham. And it kind of showed. Tottenham was definitely the better team from the off. Wilson Odobert ended up with a goal in the first half that leveled things for Tottenham, and it never really felt like in this game AZ was comfortable. Tottenham it up a little bit, They had a horrendous passing mistake, and the ball kicked free to Parakoopminers to score. But even after that goal, it only ever really felt like there was one likely winner. And if you do have the opportunity to watch Tottenham's third goal, it's too long. I'll definitely get DMCA'd if I try to show you. It is a beautiful buildup. I mean, goalkeeper to back of the net in like 15 seconds, under pressure, excellent composure, the type of stuff that you see other Ange Postecoglou teams being able to do in the past. So they got the full Tottenham experience in this game. But Tottenham is still alive to win this tournament. I know everybody was clowning Ange about like, oh, my second year, I always win a trophy, but that loss at AZ looked terrible. But there's a reason these ties are 2 legs. You get that second bite at the apple, and Tottenham looked like the better team, and with the exception of that one nasty mistake that they gave away the goal, they didn't really give AZ much. And they looked like one of the teams that could go on and win this competition. I know it's Tottenham, and I know you and I and everybody else, we make fun of them. I'm just saying that they play as well as they did in this match, and they can knock out the silliness, which they're probably not going to. I know. They are in that conversation with Bilbao, with Manchester United, maybe like a Lyon, right? To be able to be a team that could be there at the end and beat the other teams that I just mentioned on that list. And I do think it's hilarious that the 2 England representatives in the Europa League are both so bad domestically. But if you're looking at it in this situation, Tottenham's got to feel like they have that door open. Now, they do have Eintracht Frankfurt, who I didn't mean to disrespect by not listing them earlier, because they're definitely on that list in the next round. Then it's Bodø, Glimt, Lazio, Rangers, Bilbao, and Lyon, Manchester United. I think all 4 of those ties are tasty. I think we're going to get a really good round of fisticuffs out of all those. Now to the Conference League.